Hello, everyone. Welcome to the second session of a webinar series that is going to talk about specific majors or programs at Franklin University, Switzerland. In today's session, we will be talking about our new programs to be launched for fall 2020, which are Legal Studies Minor and Pre-Health Sciences. I'm Kai Ling, an admissions counselor at Franklin University, Switzerland, and I have with me today my admissions colleagues, Petra and Catherine. We are also very excited to have two faculty members joining us today to speak about the new programs. They are Professor Roberto Codon and Professor Patrick Della Croce. So let's begin. So I would like to first share with you a bit about the location. So Franklin University, Switzerland is located in the city of Lugano, which is in southern Switzerland in the Italian-speaking canton of Ticino. And an interesting fact for you, Lugano is actually the largest Italian-speaking majority outside of Italy. And as you can see from the beautiful picture, Franklin campus, which is the beige color building in the foreground, is surrounded by beautiful Alps and lake. And this provides a great array of outdoor activities. The surrounding areas of Lugano is actually home to over 190 miles of mountain biking trails, which is the largest in Switzerland. And also Lugano is Switzerland's third largest financial center after Zurich and Geneva. And to provide a more clearest perspective on the exact location, we are actually situated 2 hours and 15 minutes away from Zurich and an hour and 15 minutes away from Milan City by train. A bit more about our Franklin community. So we are a small liberal arts university with approximately 300 students on campus. With an average class size of 14 and a student-faculty ratio of 8:1, you can be assured of having the opportunity to connect better with your peers and to receive more one-on-one attention from the faculty. And in addition to that, although we are a small campus, we do have a very diverse student population with over 16 nationalities among our student community. And we have 8 residential buildings on campus, and a vast majority of students do stay on campus, as we believe that this is a great way for you to connect with your fellow peers and to get more involved on campus. And every residence building is unique in its own ways, and I'm sure you'll be able to find one that fits right for you. And from this slide, I will pass it over to my colleague Petra, who will bring you to the next section of today's session. Petra.
Wonderful. Hello to everybody. So Franklin follows the liberal arts model of higher education, which describes the structure of most American universities. The term itself actually goes back to ancient Greek and Rome, where to be a free member of society and to exercise civic duty, you needed your education to span different academic areas, everything from the humanities all the way to the sciences, very much through the study of grammar, rhetoric, and logic. But in today's terms, that means that liberal arts describes a flexible system of study that encourages a student to go beyond their specific academic discipline. This allows kind of the focusing on interdisciplinary study as well as experiential learning. Structurally, this means that in order to graduate with an undergraduate degree, you must complete requirements in 3 different areas. First is the core curriculum, which is required for all students regardless of their academic major, and includes courses such as writing, quantitative reasoning, first-year seminar, academic travel, modern languages, as well as a variety of courses that emphasize global responsibility. Second is major requirements, which of course are the greater majority of the classes you will take in the discipline that you choose to study. So very much kind of focus in on what your physical major is going to be. The final component is elective courses, which can be used to diversify your studies with courses from other academic areas that you may be interested in, or you can use it as an opportunity to pursue a minor, so a smaller concentration, which we'll be touching on today. Or sometimes students very much kind of appreciate having these elective credits in order to kind of balance out their schedule. So there's a lot of different opportunities and how to use this structure for your benefit. So This system basically works for students who know what they want to study at universities, as well as for those who would like to pursue combinations or double majors, as well as students who are maybe not yet sure what they want to study, and hence maybe need a little bit more time to kind of make that decision through a little bit more of an academic exploration. We know that the flexibility of the liberal arts system may seem overwhelming at first, but from the very first day, all students are assigned an academic advisor, which is one of our faculty members, one of the professors, who will work directly with the student on their course selection, as well as their entire undergraduate plan. And at this time, we offer about 20 different academic majors. At Franklin, you can find all of this information on our website. The same will be with the academic minors that are offered. So you can certainly explore more of these as you visit our general information pages.
Thank you, Petra. So my name is Catherine, and I'm going to take us into the next part of our session, really the meat of it, if you could say. So today we're talking about two of our new programs, which Kylie mentioned are going to be launched in fall 2020, which is our Legal Studies minor and Pre-Health Sciences. So these programs are intended to help you prepare for continuing your studies after Franklin. So first, with that, I would like to introduce Professor Roberto Codron, who will tell us more about the Legal Studies minor. Professor, I don't think we can hear you. I'm going to just unmute you real fast.
Sorry.
Okay, there we go. We've got you now.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Catherine. The Legal Studies minor was created recently, and it's basically an interdisciplinary program that allows students to explore issues related to law and serves to what in the Anglo-Saxon system is considered to be a pre-law program. But not only that, it allows students who want to study legal or law-related issues, for example, human rights or immigration or maybe cybersecurity. It allows students to prepare for master level programs in this area, in addition to fulfilling the basic requirements or the basic conditions of what a classical pre-law program does. So one of the objectives of the Legal Studies minor is to prepare students to take the law school admissions test, or the LSAT, which is required in many Anglo-Saxon law schools as a prerequisite for applying. And it also helps students who are going into programs such as the LLM, the LLB, or master's programs that have a law component in them. And why do we do that, even though as a university, Franklin doesn't have a full law school? Well, it builds on the expertise that Franklin has developed in the liberal arts and social sciences, which are the key components of preparation for attending law school or a law-related program in the graduate school. Thank you. So the Legal Studies minor has two components. There is what we call the foundation courses, which are 3 key required courses that all students will take, all students pursuing the minor will take. One of them is an advanced academic writing course to acquire the skills of persuasive writing, which is something that everybody involved in the law needs to be able to do. In other years, the topic of this course has dealt with ethics at work. Those topics may change, but the primary objective is to actually get to actually perfection the writing skills. Then we have a course on legal studies and the study of law, which is the core course to understand what law is all about, what legal studies is, what kind of law systems or what kind of disciplines there exist in studying law. And a course on philosophy, which we have structured as a political philosophy course, to understand the role of law in society and the type of ethical, moral, and legal dilemmas that people are confronted. Law is not a straightforward issue. Sometimes there are two sides, and two sides that represent different philosophical underpinnings, and it's important for students and for people in the law to actually understand and be able to address these in a systematic way. Then we draw on our expertise in the comparative literature and cultural studies, history and communications department to offer students a choice of 3 courses that cover various issues that are related to the study of law. For example, I'm particularly interested in the 2 courses on the worlds of Islam and the worlds of Judaism, because they look at a particular aspect of law, which is religious law. And of course, religious law has an enormous influence on legal codes in many countries of the world. So what are the key learning objectives of the legal studies minors? We take the first 4 learning objectives of the LSAT, which are analytical reasoning, critical reading, logical reasoning, and persuasive writing skills, and add a 5th component, which is being able to dissect legal content. All the courses in the previous slide and all the courses that students would take in the legal studies minor would address one or more of these learning objectives. And the objective as a whole is to prepare students, as I said previously, to either take the LSAT in anticipation of grad school, or to develop expertise and familiarity with legal issues that they can use in a master program. And as I say this, I'm thinking also, for example, management majors. Management majors or who want to go into business may actually have a reason to understand legal issues, even if that's not going to be their main component. But of course, management and business law is something that affects corporations in very many ways, and any high-level manager needs to be able to understand the key issues of that. Now, what can we say about what is interesting about the program that we offer? Well, Franklin as a whole is highly integrated in the legal community of Ticino, the canton where we are residing. Many of our trustees are active in the legal community of Lugano or even Switzerland. And in addition, many of our alumni are active in legal issues around Switzerland. The key course in our program on the study of law will be taught initially by the former Attorney General of Ticino, Professor Roberta Arnold, who is highly experienced in legal issues and in actually prosecuting cases. She's also a specialist in international law and will be able to bring to that course a whole plethora of issues, not only concerning the Anglo-Saxon system, the common law system in the Anglo-Saxon countries, where she actually got one of her graduate degrees, but also the civil law system of most of continental Europe, where she has practiced and where she also got her PhD or the equivalent of her JD in Switzerland. We also have a wide alumni network around the world and in the US of students who have left Franklin and gone on to study law in different schools. Right now, we have students at Fletcher, at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University. We also have one student that we will show later who is pursuing his JD at Georgetown University, one of the top schools in the US. And over the last 50 years of Franklin, many of our students have gone on to very successful law careers. Furthermore, Ticino being a small place and Lugano being a relatively small and familiar place, and having the access to the former Attorney General Ticino, Professor Arnold is planning to take students in her course on on-site visits to trials, to actual criminal court trials in Lugano, or to the Court of Appeals in Bellinzona, which is the second highest court in Switzerland, and Bellinzona is only 25 minutes away, and Professor Arnold knows many of the people there and is planning to basically expose our students to the legal community in Switzerland. So just in general, what kind of opportunities are beyond the Franklin degree? Basically, a lot. Trevor Hurden, who's currently pursuing a law degree at Georgetown University, as I mentioned previously, he and I co-wrote an article a few years ago on the evolving nature of multilateral diplomacy, which was published in the Indian journal, The Diplomatist. This is very much at the intersection of law and international relations. Our former student, Joya Chouch, who is pursuing a similar degree at Fletcher, also addressed issues of law and diplomacy in her senior thesis. In general, students with a minor in legal studies could pursue any type of graduate program in addition to law, and the minor could be very helpful in many areas, in international business, for example, or even in issues of environmental law. But I guess that's, I'm now getting into the area of my colleague Patrick Della Croce, and I will leave I will leave it to him to explain what they do on his area.
Thank you, Professor. With that wonderful transition, we will now turn it over to Professor Patrick Della Croce to tell us more about pre-health sciences at Franklin.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar, I guess. So yes, as my colleagues have already announced, we at Franklin, we are starting next fall, this coming fall, to offer pre-health science options. Now, what are pre-health science options? They're basically a set of classes, a set of courses that are usually required for medical schools in the US. Those would be, for instance, this fall we'll start with biology and chemistry with laboratories, with lab sessions. So that would be usually to go to med school, you have to have 1 year of chemistry with labs or 1 year of biology with lab. And now we're setting up the lab and be able to be, to offer those classes in the fall. And we will then offer in 1 year from now, we will then start offering organic chemistry with laboratories and also physics with labs. And so basically all those courses allow you to get at Franklin the requirement, the classes that are required for medical school in the US largely. This is not a major or a minor. Those are a set of courses that you can take if you are interested in pre-med or health sciences, but also if you're interested in just sort of in chemistry, but you want to do you want to study any other major. So you take those courses alongside, basically within your major. Okay. And here we have an example of a major. So usually you would take that with an environmental sciences major, a psychology major, but you can also take it with an econ major, history, whatever you prefer. Okay, so this would be here basically a rough sort of a sample schedule for your pre-health option. So let's say you're taking a major in environmental sciences. You could take your first year, you would have your first year seminar. Then you take chemistry with lab. The chemistry session need to be taken one after the other. Biology can be taken also one after the other, or a little bit, or the order doesn't matter that much. But then basically you'll see you have these pre-health options in your schedules, and they are basically integrated within your larger major. So this would be, for instance, again at Franklin, the pre-health option would fit very, very well into the environmental sciences or major, or the psychology major, but it could also fit again in the history, business, marketing, whatever you prefer. So in terms of, again, the pre-health options are a set of courses, so they're not a program, a minor, a major, or a certificate per se. So there isn't something that needs to sort of cap it at the end. And so there is not the thesis project or internship component depends a lot on the major that you're choosing. So if you chose, if you were to choose environmental sciences, for instance, you would have a senior capstone project, or you could do a thesis. Some other majors require a thesis and so forth and so on. But usually, and this is especially for the US students that are interested in medical school in the US, schools in the US do look very positively to students that have completed internship during their undergraduate studies. And so for that, to facilitate a little bit the possibility of internships for students interested in medical schools here at Franklin, we have developed a partnership with the Colorado School of Medicine. And they are, for instance, planning, or they're offering our students the possibility to join their programs. They do wilderness first aid certificates, and we're working together to host either academic travels together or courses together where the students can get those first aid certificate. But also they would provide a sort of a talk-to person that could explain you a little bit how medical school really works in the US and so forth and so on. So we have possibility of internships. There's also possibility of working here or doing internships here in Switzerland. So we're actually located 75 meters away from a private clinic. And so that could also be a good source of contacts. Now, one thing that might be interesting for you, or that might be unknown for you, is the difference between the US and the European system when it comes to pre-health or medicine or health studies in general. In the US, you do your undergraduate degree, and then once you have that, you go into medical school. And so during your undergraduate degree there, you have to do some pre-med courses. Again, basically the option that we're offering here in order to be then accepted to medical school. In Europe, you start from day one in your bachelor in medical school, okay? And so our pre-health sciences options for European students are not really aimed at allowing you to go to medical school, since you would start that from day one. Okay, so you would go to a medical to a medicine program, but they are basically these classes allow you to go on a number of different paths that might be related to health, but also to a more science program. So I guess that would be the yeah. So here, and this is really what they are, regardless if you are from the US or not, or from Europe, from a more European system. This is the slide that sort of interests you the most for these programs, because basically, again, these classes that we offer allow you to go in a bunch of different directions, which can be from the more medical or medicine-oriented, so doctor, nurses, hospital-related services, and so forth and so on, but also more, sort of like all the way up to the alternative and holistic medicine, which could be, for instance, traditional medicine, naturopathy, and so forth and so on, all things that where you need to have a background in chemistry, biology, and so forth and so on. Furthermore, I guess, especially for, if you're not particularly interested in medical school, but for instance, you want to study environmental sciences you want to get a master in environmental sciences at an Institute of Technology, which could be the ETH in Zurich, or the EPFL in Lausanne, or any other technical school in Europe or in the US, you will need a background in chemistry, biology, and physics, and the courses that we're offering here basically allow you to go there with a degree from Franklin for an undergraduate degree, and you could go to then a more, again, you could go to the ETH and study environmental sciences there, which you need chemistry and physics for.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit more about how the students would navigate through these courses and making sure they're getting them all?
Yes. So again, as I guess Kayleen or Petra mentioned before, each student at Franklin, when he or she enrolls in Franklin, he or she receives an advisor, an academic advisor. Okay, if you are interested in pre-health sciences, most likely the academic advisor will be either myself or Professor Brack Hale, my colleague, and we would basically help you throughout your time here at Franklin, planning your courses so that we make sure that you can fulfill your degree in the time in the time that you have. All right, so it looks fairly complicated with all the options, but you don't have to worry too much because there's somebody helping you, and we literally help you from day one to graduation. So we follow you, we make sure that you checking all the boxes, that you're checking all the boxes at the right time, and that you get what you're here for.
Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Petra to explain a little bit more in detail how these programs fit into your overall education.
Sorry, Catherine, I wanted to add something to the previous slide.
Sure.
I was unmuted. Actually, I came from I came to a liberal arts program as my undergraduate degree from a country that did not have a full understanding of liberal arts. So I can very much emphasize and support what Patrick said about the role of the academic advisor in accompanying the students in their choices. It is overwhelming. It is an overwhelming, the liberal arts system with all the choices and all the possibilities is overwhelming, but I think it's a good problem to have. It's one of those things that it's great because it's not a choice between life or death. It's a choice between one type of life and another type of life, which is great. In the pre-law program or in the health studies minor, the students will be advised on the one hand by Professor Arnold, who will be teaching the legal studies course, but also they will have one of the professors who teaches in the program, most probably Professor Wiedmer or Professor Bucher, who will then guide them in their choices so that their minor fits within their major. So yes, it seems very overwhelming, but the student is not alone, and it's actually a nice type of overwhelming to have. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. I think that's really important to point out. I'm an alum myself, and I can also testify to the fact that the faculty is really there for you. And to Kailing's point about the student-faculty ratio, it really does come through, especially when you're trying to navigate and figure out your future, whether it's unclear and you're excited by many things, as Professor Cordon mentioned, or whether or not you have a little bit more of a clear idea. Thank you for adding that. All right, and now I will turn it over to Petra.
Yes, so these are just basically some examples of what we wanted to highlight with the structure that I mentioned in the beginning. Maybe it's putting all the pieces together. So this was just more of the structure that we were looking at in terms of the legal studies. Because it is a minor, it is that smaller specialization. So if you are pursuing, for example, a major in international relations, that does take up currently by our catalog at around 57 US credits, right? You still have the core requirement, the general course. It would still allow you to have some elective credits in areas that maybe you're interested in, and then the minor in legal studies would be part of that pyramid as well. So you are still getting the full balance in terms of your academic area that you've chosen your degree in, but also doing the addition of the academic minor in legal studies and still having the exposure to the different classes that we mentioned. On the next slide, we had the example exactly for the pre-health science track. And as you heard from Professor Della Croce, the actual courses fall into different categories. So of course, if you chose a major in environmental studies or with an emphasis in sciences, certainly courses such as biology, chemistry, physics would be relevant to that as well. Psychology would be another option, and hence we kind of created this example to have a minor in psychology if that's interesting to students to also have that component within it. But as mentioned on our website, with the pre-health sciences, also having courses in writing and literature and kind of social sciences are important for an application into the US medical school system. So those would basically kind of come across areas of the core curriculum as well as the elective credit. As we keep mentioning, we know that this is an intricate system. All of us in the admissions office remain available to you should you have any follow-up questions.
Thank you. I haven't seen any other questions come in at this time, but like Petra said, please do follow up with us if you have any additional questions about any of these tracks. And we did want to remind you that you can, of course, continue the conversation with our students. They may not be able to speak, of course, yet to the topics we discussed today, but if you're thinking more about the other majors, how it fits in, faculty advisors, life at Franklin, anything else, we do encourage you from our website to chat with our student ambassadors. And we thank you for your time today.